So now I'll teach you the skill development part into 4E framework. This is a framework that I use to coach my clients. Okay, so let's get started with this. What is that 4E framework? The first E in the 4E is for effective. The first thing, the most important thing that you need to do is to identify the most effective thing to do. So focus on vital few versus trivial many. So what do I mean by that? So here is a very, very powerful principle which works in every segment of life, and it works in the health segment as well, which is called Pareto principle, which means 20% of your efforts produce 80% of the results. Now, what you need to do as you're getting started is choose the one out of this 20%, okay, which will produce bigger result for you, the big rocks to move so that you get something better. And we will get into what are the most effective things to do with exercise, nutrition, recovery, all of these. But let me share a simple example of what is not effective. Okay. So I've seen a lot of people, they switch from white sugar to honey or jaggery to improve their health, thinking that this is healthy. Now, here is the thing, like brown sugar, white sugar, honey. Look at the caloric values, 370, 390, 330 calories per 100 gram. Now you bring that down to per spoon level, okay, and the difference is literally nothing. And now also, because honey or brown sugar may not be as sweet as sugar, you may end up adding more, or you may end up adding more also thinking that this is healthy. So the caloric difference literally vanishes. And why is it important? It's important because when it comes to losing weight, calories do matter. Okay, so essentially when you make this kind of change, it still needs energy, it still needs effort, but the results are nothing. You don't see the results. Now do the opposite. When you start doing things which are effective and you take an effective action, it saves time and energy because it produces results faster when you are doing most effective thing, and I'm going to get into details of that. And when you see these results, it improves your self efficacy, self belief, or in simple words, your confidence in yourself and your ability, and also in the process that you're following, and you want to do it more. And when you want to do it more, what happens is you do it more consistently, and when you do it more consistently, you get consistent results. And as I said, we will get into what to do effectively as we move forward. But think about this, just look back at what you have been doing and see whatever you did was the most effective thing or not, right? How soon did it give you results? So that's the big rock to move. Okay, these are like big wins that you can get right off the bat, so it gives you more, faster results. Now the second E is for efficiency, which means more doesn't mean better results. Just doing enough is the name of the game. So what do I mean? If you have heard of this law, which is called law of diminishing returns, it applies again in every area of life and also in the area of health and fitness. I'm going to give you a proof of that as we move forward. But here is what it is. Whatever you are doing, like first 25-30% of your effort is the most productive, and this builds on the effective thing. And then you move into space of diminishing returns, okay, which means for every minute or every ounce of energy that you're spending on that activity, the return that you get on that investment is low, and after a period it starts dipping down. Look at it in terms of exercise, for example. A lot of people think more workout and more exercise means more calories burnt. But here is what it is. Our brain doesn't work in a linear way. Okay. It is constantly looking to optimize the energy expenditure because it is wired to save energy. And you got to be smart with it, okay, to really understand that more doesn't work. Just doing enough so that you spend some energy and let your brain do the thing. So say for example, even if you start walking, so when you start walking and for first 15-20 minutes, you're fresh, you have a lot of energy. You're walking at much better speed, and you're walking well. Now, as the time progresses, you get tired, your speed reduces. Your body also gets used to it. It will start making you walk, what I call it as lethargically. Okay, not physical lethargy, but energy efficiency lethargy, which means you start, using less and less body parts and muscles, and your, body is making you save energy as much as you can. And as you go forward and further towards that 1 hour mark, 2 hours mark, 3 hours mark, your energy expenditure keeps coming down. So whatever it was in the first 15 minutes, it's not going to be same in the last 15 minutes. Okay, it keeps coming down after a certain point. So that's the law of diminishing returns. And you also need to understand law of diminishing returns over a longer period of time. So exercise for 10 minutes daily for 6 days versus exercising for 60 minutes once in a 6 day. 10-minute daily always produces better result because you're always in that first part of the curve and not the later part of the curve. Also, it produces what we call it as chronic stimulus, okay, versus acute stimulus. So that's the difference. Now, simplest thing based on the research, and this is not me, I can produce scientific research and share it with you, is that on a particular day, if your exercise activity increases, neurological adaptations will slow down the metabolic and other physiological activities during the day to save energy. Now, what does it mean? In other words, or in simple words, if your total expenditure on daily basis is 2000 calories and you burn 1000 calories doing exercise, it's not going to be 3000 calories. It's going to be much, much less because neurological and metabolic adaptations will reduce expense from other places to save energy. Simplest thing is if you really burn 1000 calories doing exercise activity, say for example in the morning, then during the day, the number of times you're going to get up from your chair and walk up and drink water to do a lot of other things will start reducing, coming down. You'll have more pain, more soreness, all of these things, which reduces other physical activity or what we call it as need, which is non-exercise activity. And we'll get into that tomorrow in more details. But this is what really happens. Okay. So here 1 + 1 is not 2, is somewhere somewhat less than 2. And I'll give you a very real life example. So one of my client, Namrata, used to work out for like 90 minutes a day, but she was not able to lose weight. When we worked together, what we made was we made her workout effective and efficient. And this reduced her workout time to 30 to 40 minutes a day. And now she had more time and more energy to do things that she wants to do. And the result was she was able to lose 18 kgs in 10 months in spite of being a thyroid patient and just 40 years old. So it's not that, she's got the young raging hormones in her body. So this is what happens when you actually combine what's effective and what's efficient. It actually saves time, money, energy, and gives you results which are much better and much faster. Now, once you're done with the effective and efficiency, this is the big concept, which is called make it easy. Okay. Break it down. This reduces resistance. So let me tell you this, like anything that takes more than 2 steps is difficult. Okay. Your brain gets confused. So more steps you add to the process, more confusion it creates. And that means lack of clarity. And when there is lack of clarity, we procrastinate or find ways to avoid taking action. Now, why does that happen? That's the defense mechanism of your brain, okay? To avoid getting into situations that your brain does not know how to deal with. Like, if I can't see what's after two steps, I'm not going to walk. What if there is a valley? What if there is a hole? Or what if there is a bump? I'm going to crash. I'm going to dash. I'll get hurt. And that's going to threaten my survival. So if I can't see what's next, I will not walk. Same as with the brain. If it can't see what's next, it will not do it. So more than two steps, your brain cannot think. And that's where it has to have, you need to have a simple and clear plan of action. But the problem is just doing one thing will not help you achieve your goals. You've got to do more things or bigger things. So, what to do? This means you need to break it down. So, here is an example. If you look at climbing this mountain, okay, 12 steps looks big, more resistance, you need more motivation. I may not have energy to do it right now. I'll do it later. This is what happens if you look at this. Now, let me ask you this. What about this? If you look at this, you're like, cool, let's go over it, jump, come back, let's go over it, jump. You want to play with it. Then, what if you see this? That's fine. You just go over a little more, two steps and come back. Two steps and come back. You can do that. Now, what about this? These are 12 steps. How about doing it in a 12 days or 12 weeks or over a 12 months? Ultimately, you will still be able to do it at your pace. So this is how you make it easy. You break it down. Now, let me ask you this. If you don't have time to exercise today or time for anything today, can you exercise for 11,700 minutes this year? 1 year from now? The answer is going to be big no. Like, how stupid, Dhaval? I told you I don't have time, and you're asking me to make 11,700 minutes for exercise. I get it. Yeah. Now, let me, blow your mind. Can I ask you, can you make 5 minutes today for exercise? If the answer is hell yeah, now we are talking. Yeah. Let's look at this. If you make 5 minutes today, and you add 5 minutes every day for the next 12 days. Or if you add 5 minutes every week for the next 12 weeks, or if you add 5 minutes every month for the next 12 months. Here is what you can do. Look at the scenario one. Add 5 minutes daily. In 12 days, you would have actually made 390 minutes. And in that year, you would have made 21,570 minutes. Now, probably making 5 minutes and adding 5 minutes is little, say, too soon or too crazy for you, right? Overwhelming. How about adding 5 minutes every week? So look at this. Week one, you just have 5 minutes for 6, 7 days. Week two, you add 5 more minutes to it. Week three, you add 5 more minutes to it. End of 12 weeks. End of 12 weeks, you would have made 2,730 minutes. And at the end of a year, you would have made 19,530 minutes. Now, yeah, if weekly 5 minutes is also too aggressive, let's look at monthly. Month one, you just make 5 minutes every day. Month two, you add 5 minutes to it. Go on till 12 months. In 12 months, you would have made 11,700 minutes for yourself. Now, just put it in terms of caloric burn. Okay, I know a lot of you are here for losing weight, burning calories. If you do formula number one, adding 5 minutes daily for 12 days and then using that, and simple calculation, 7.6 calories per minute, which is about the expenditure of walking, you would have burned 1,63,932 calories, which means around 18.2 kgs of fat in your body. If you do little less on a weekly basis, which is pretty possible, 12 weeks, a sweet spot, 1,48,428 calories, which is about 16.4 kgs of weight, 16 point actually 5. And if you're still slow, 11,700 minutes, which means 88,920 calories, which is still about 9.8, 9.9 kgs of fat. Now, burning this amount of fat doing very simple exercise like walking, and I'm not even considering physiological, neurological, and psychological benefits of you being able to do that. I'm just giving you the amount of fat burn. Now, this may not result into direct weight loss in the same number, but here is the thing: understand the concept of making it easy, taking small steps. And this is where the real magic happens, which is year two. A lot of my clients continue to lose weight even after they, are stopped working with me, because now they are in this, inertia. The motion is created of doing this. 21,600 minutes, 1,64,000 calories, which is another 18, 19 kgs of fat burn. In 2 years, you're burning more than 25 kgs of fat. Even if half of it goes out as weight loss, which is not going to come back because now it is sustainable for you. How big a win would it be for you? Put it in the comment below. I would really love to see that. Right? You can go faster, but I'm just giving you the simplest example. And when you're consistent at this pace, physiological, neurological, and psychological changes take place. Now, as I said, weight loss will not be linear, but benefit starts compounding over a period of time. And you shouldn't just stick to exercise. We'll talk about the other things, and you start making other changes to your life, because now you have more energy, you're healthier, you have time, all of these things. And we'll talk about other things as we move forward. So let me give you another example of the same thing. Now, before we started working, Amrish used to be like, I'm too tired and lazy to get to the gym, forget about working out. Now, that's the reality. That's you. You know how it feels. He had no idea of what to eat to achieve his goal. What we did was simple. We eased him into working out and eating a balanced diet. And we went at a pace that he was comfortable with. Okay. And it was 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes a week, 5 minutes a month. And the result was that he was able to lose 14.4 kgs in 6 months and still maintaining it for more than 3 years now. So that's what is possible when you break down things which are effective, efficient, and you make them easy. Now, that's the third E. The fourth E is even more important, which is enjoyable. One of the most important part is to make sure you enjoy every activity that you do, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not do it. And if the activity is not so enjoyable, make sure there is enjoyable reward at the end of the activity for that. Now, the reason why it is important is it will activate what we call it as reward center in your brain and generate a dopamine spike. Now, when that happens, it closes the loop and says, yes, I like it. This feels good. This is good. And when you have to do it again, the brain has a predictable and rewarding memory of this activity, and it will reduce the resistance for you to do it again. Now, this is one of the reasons why we do not take away anything like chocolate, bread, beer, sweets from the menu in my coaching programs. I don't do that, because as soon as you do that, you are in trouble. What you'll do is you'll start resenting and resisting the activity and the program itself, because now it's not making you feel happy and enjoy things that you enjoy. So crash diet or cutting all your favorite food from your item rarely works in a long time. It works short term. Yes, you get the results, but we are talking about sustainable results. progressive behavior change over here, and that doesn't happen. And the same thing, with pushing yourself too hard on exercise, being exhausted, having too much body pain doesn't help, right? The feedback generated by this activity is not rewarding, and it is painful. And your brain will do everything possible to avoid pain and suffering, especially in the short term. And when you're under stress or pressure, it will definitely avoid it. And that's why a lot of people quit exercise, gym, diet, all of these things when the life happens. When there is more stress, more pressure, they quit it because this was actually adding to the pressure, not releasing pressure. And as I mentioned earlier, our brain cannot see too far in the future clearly. So what it feels is, if this is not enjoyable right now, it's not going to be enjoyable later. Simple thing like smoking. Like, smoking is bad, but you know what? It's good in short term. And that's why it's enjoyable, and that's why it's difficult to resist. If you are smoking, if you don't smoke, then you don't know about it. But let me tell you this, and this is even more difficult with food, because it takes 10 seconds for nicotine to hit your brain, but it takes 1 second for sugar to hit your brain. And if there is no immediate pain or pleasure, we cannot instinctively or intuitively judge the long term impact. And that's why having an activity which is enjoyable is very, very important. So, just like Preeti is a 64-year-old chocolatier and a filmmaker. She had tried many diets, put on weight after losing it again and again. But when we worked together, we didn't take beer, bread, chocolates from the menu because that's something she enjoyed. What we did instead, what we actually worked around it to make sure she gets what she wants, and she was still able to lose weight. How much? 5 kgs in 2 months, and she has not got it back. Now that's where you need to understand. You can do a lot of other things which are more effective, efficient, easy, and enjoyable, rather than taking away things which are already enjoyable to you. Okay, we may reduce it slowly over a period of time, but this is how it works. So I know you're like, Dhaval, all these things are great, but tell me what to do. Yeah, we are getting there. Okay, but things that I'm teaching you are far more important than doing, because if you've not got clarity of what you want, how you can do this, then what to do will always be the same that you did earlier, and you will give up. So day one and day two are most important when it comes to the psychology of change and progressive behavior change. And what we are going to do is, whatever we've learned on day one, day two, we're going to start applying it on exercise, nutrition, rest, recovery, all of these in the next 3 days. So this is why it is very important. Now, as we move on to the next phase, get this done. Okay. What you got to do is you have to create your own compass, because what is effective, efficient, easy, and enjoyable for you is different than anybody else. So you got to do this. Okay. Make sure that anytime you start a new program, it checks all the boxes. Okay. So what boxes should it check? Answer this question. And this is going to be in your workbook. So when you download the workbook, you can start answering that. Does this activity fit into your life that you ultimately want? Okay. Yes or no? If the answer is no, you don't have to do this. And if the answer is yes, then why do you think it really fits in there? So get clarity, some reflection there. Second, is this activity scientifically effective in helping you achieve your goal? Yes or no? Okay. And how did you arrive at this thing being effective? Is it assumption, or is it, evidence based approach? So think about that. And the question number one that I asked is actually building upon what you did yesterday. So make sure you're clear of how does your life look like, and then is this effective? Now, what is the once you've defined that, what is the most effective way of efficient way of doing this activity, or are you overdoing it? Something like, are you depending too much on exercise or some meal replacement shakes or any of that to lose weight? Is there a very, you know, what I call it as over dependent on overdoing kind of strategy that you have? Then it's not efficient. You're doing one thing too much and ignoring other where your return on investment is low. So think about it, answer this question. Now, the third thing is, before you start anything, look at this. Will you be able to break down this activity into small, simple, easy steps? Yes or no? And if yes, how? So that gives you clarity and create a compass of how to make it easy. And how will doing this activity create short-term and long-term enjoyable outcome? It's not or, it's and. Okay, it has to be enjoyable now, it has to be enjoyable later as well. So these are the 4 questions that you understand. And now look back at anything that you have tried. Did your previous diet or exercise check all these boxes? Yes or no? And your homework, the thing that you're supposed to do. Now pick up the activity that you did yesterday. Okay. Now apply the 4E framework on that activity, which means how can you make it effective, efficient, easy, and enjoyable? The best thing would be to make it all, but if you can't make it all, can you apply at least one of these principles there? Yes or no? And then, you know, do that, which is your second way. So whatever you did, you make it bigger and better today. And once you have done that, you put it on the Facebook group. I would want to celebrate that with you. And that's what we do today. Now, tomorrow we're going to look at how to win the battle in the field of exercise and physical movement. Till then, make sure you've done the worksheet and you have, created your second win, or which means you've amplified or made your yesterday's win bigger. All right. Thank you so much for watching day 2. Tomorrow I'll be back with day 3.